The Atlanta City Council adopts legislation authorizing the transfer of funds from the District 12, 1, 11, and 4's Consulting Professional Services account or participatory budget pilot program funds in a total amount not to exceed $175,000 to the Atlanta Police Foundation for the purchase of security cameras within the respective districts. The Council approves a resolution condemning hate and extremism and affirming the City of Atlanta's ongoing commitment to cultivating an inclusive, safe, and just society and culture that values the diversity of the city's community, works to ensure equitable opportunities in all major facets of society, and celebrates both individuality and commonality. The Council says yes to a resolution requesting 3 council committees conduct a feasibility study and gather recommendations for the establishment of the Department of Public Safety and Wellness in Atlanta. The Council's Public Safety and Legal Administration, Community Development and Human Services, and Finance Executive Committees would be tasked with examining the creation of the new department and holding at least 2 work sessions with community partners, experts in public safety, and members of the public for feedback. The Council greenlights a resolution requesting the city's Chief Operating Officer to work with the Department of City Planning, Invest Atlanta, Atlanta Beltline Incorporated, Atlanta Housing, and the Atlanta Fulton County Land Bank to create a comprehensive, action-based plan to expedite the development of affordable workforce and supportive housing on vacant, publicly owned land. For more recently approved legislation, please visit our website, citycouncil.atlantagA.gov. This has been your Atlanta City Council Legislative Minute. I'm Phyllis Jackson. Welcome to Stay at Home Connect. Coronavirus cases continue to place a burden on our healthcare systems. Georgia hospitals approaching 85% capacity of inpatient beds and 91% capacity of ICU beds. The incoming Biden-Harris administration pushing for a major expansion of federal funding in order to manifest his goal of administering 100 million COVID vaccinations within the first 100 days of his presidency. 2 additional vaccine candidates are working to join Moderna and Pfizer in the fight against COVID. Officials with Johnson & Johnson say the interim portion of its Phase 3 clinical trials involving 45,000 people revealed the vaccine was, quote, generally well tolerated. As for the Oxford AstraZeneca offering, data from 4 clinical trials indicate moderate efficacy. Dr. Anthony Fauci says both vaccine candidates could be weeks away from evaluation from the FDA. With over 100 cases of the UK variant currently in the U.S., officials with the CDC say it's projected to grow rapidly and could become the predominant strain by March. This variant is said to be more contagious, but so far there's no proof that the variant will lead to greater illness or more deaths. With an eye on this variant and others that are emerging, the agency has also expanded its requirement for a negative COVID test to all air travelers entering the United States. In addition to current CDC recommendations, air passengers will need to get a viral test for current infection within 3 days of their flight and provide written documentation to the airline. For specifics on the COVID-19 test requirement, you can go to the CDC's website at cdc.gov. The Internal Revenue Service's tax filing season begins February 12th. This date will allow the agency time to do additional programming and test its systems following tax law changes, which led to a second round of economic impact payments due to COVID-19. The IRS says if you want a speedy refund, you will want to file your returns electronically with direct deposit. You can also file your taxes with tax software companies. That includes IRS Free File partners. These partners are accepting tax returns now, and they will be sent to the IRS starting February 12th. Atlanta City Council member Andrea Boone joins with Atlanta Police Leadership Institute, Badge to Family Outreach, Georgia Stand Up, and a group of volunteers for a cleanup of the Martin Luther King Drive corridor in recognition of the King holiday.
We want to make sure that the citizens know that we are here today. We're here to help them keep the environment clean. We're going to be picking up trash. We'll be painting graffiti. We will be cleaning up many of the cracks and crevices that folks miss when they do normal cleanups. We've done a lot of work just to plan out this community cleanup.
Atlanta City Council member Natalie Archibong celebrates Martin Luther King Jr. Day by co-sponsoring a community coat drive.
This is another example of the love and care that we have for one another. We're in a pandemic, and there's a lot of need out there. There's a lot of fear. And so this is one of those ways that we give back and share with our community. Commissioner Johnson is here with us as well. So this is an initiative that's Atlanta and the county. We're partnering with Workforce Strong, 258, and the YMCA, of course, to make sure that families in this area have winter coats for themselves and their children.
That's a wrap. We'll see you on the next edition of Stay at Home Connect.
morning, everyone. My name is Madeline Archibong, and this is the City Utilities meeting. I am the chair. This is the January 26th meeting, 2021. I will call this meeting to order. And the first order of business would be for Mr. Evans, our analyst, to conduct a roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrea L. Boone.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Hillis. Here. Councilmember J.P. Matsakai. Here. Councilmember Joyce Shepard.
Present.
Councilmember Howard Shook. Aye. Councilmember Cleo Winslow. Madam Chair, quorum is present.
All right, thank you. And I would like at this time to know who will need to vote by voice.
Shook.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right, thank you. The next order would be to have Mr. Evans read the remote meeting statement. Please do so. Thank you.
The City Utilities Committee is being conducted remotely as advertised and in accordance with OCGA 50-14-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by dialing 877-579-6743, conference ID 831-599-1256, which was noted on the Friday, January 22nd public meeting notice. The meeting may also view the meeting on Channel 26, the Council's homepage at citycouncil.atlantagA.gov, the Council's YouTube channel, or the Council's Facebook and Twitter pages via @ATL Council. All presentations are available on this Atlanta City Council City Utilities Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available Friday, January 22nd via atlantacga.iqm2.com. Additionally, the public was able to submit comments via voicemail at 404-330-6057 between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. the day before this meeting. These comments will be played during the public comment portion of the meeting. All persons present on the remote council meeting conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open your Outlook email and minimize the screen. Amendments, substitutes, and informational documents have been distributed to the committee members beforehand. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I will entertain a motion. This will be an electronic vote.
So moves.
Thank you, Mr. Schutz. I'll second that. If there's no discussion, please open the vote.
Vote is open. And the vote is closed. 6 yeas and 0 nays.
Okay. The agenda has been adopted. Now I will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Schutz, so moves.
Thank you. I'll second. There's no discussion or corrections. Let's open that vote, please.
Vote is open. And the vote is closed at 6 yeas and 0 nays.
All right, the minutes have been approved. Next, colleagues, under the City Utilities Committee Goals and Objectives, please continue to review those. Would like for us to be ready to finalize and adopt those goals at our next meeting, please. The 2020 accomplishments and goals are in our committee packets that were distributed to all committee members. Next, let's go to public comment. I understand we do have some public comment this morning. Cross Creek Condo Association. I'm calling again about the solid waste fees that unfairly target commercial and multifamily properties. Cross Creek condo owners do not receive any solid waste services from the city, nor do other condos or commercial properties. It's unfair and illegal to charge fees for services not rendered. It's unfair and illegal to charge frontage fees for services which benefit not the property itself, but the general population. Fees should correlate to services rendered. Public street sweeping, mowing of right-of-ways, removing dead animals and such are public services for the entire community. In fact, the Public Works Department in credit communications and on their webpage describes those services as common good services. These charges are not fees, but are unfair backdoor taxes that target only a specific segment of taxpayers. Furthermore, neither the solid waste study nor a lawsuit prevents the council from rectifying this wrong. The council has the power now to stop these so-called fees and figure out how to spread the cost across all taxpayers. I hope you'll ask the Finance Department to begin this adjustment immediately as the budget process gets underway. In addition to allowing the opportunity for these recorded comments, I urge you to convene a public hearing with this matter. Thank you. Hello, my name is Sharon Williams, and I am a Midtown condo owner. I'm calling again about the egregious and illegal solid waste tax that we are being charged for services we do not receive. Any common good services should fall under the city's general fund, just like every other Georgia city, and it is in defiance of the city charter. Please schedule a public hearing soon on this issue and stop kicking the can or simply rescind the ordinance. Just because the Department of Public Works has been running a deficit for quite a while is no justification for illegally taxing those of us who receive none of its services. Thank you for listening to this. Goodbye. Sorry, my previous message may not have gotten through, so I'm repeating it. Good evening. My name is Victoria Lee. I am an owner of a condo called the City of Parkland in downtown Atlanta. And now I'm also a member of the Stop Illegal Solid Waste Feed Coalition. This group is a coalition standing in downtown Midtown to Buckhead in New York. We are thousands and thousands of condo owners calling on the city council and this committee to repeal the Stop the Solid Waste Fees. As you know, condos paid privately for town tax collection, and the common good, quote-unquote, common good services should be covered by property taxes and from the general fund. These are also illegal and discriminatory because they target against condo owners and small businesses and not all parts of city parcels. Doing studies, which have been going on for a long time, should bear no impact on this because it is illegal. Zero means zero. So therefore, I'm calling on this committee and the city council to call for public hearing and repeal the illegal solid waste fee that has been placed on condo owners, which is an extra burden for us, especially during a pandemic. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Greetings to you, council members and staff, and special greetings to you, citizens and voters of Atlanta, who are monitoring what our council members are doing in 2021, including the degree to which comments from the public are respected or not. Ben Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. Regarding Cable TV, that communications gem of the city of Atlanta, I remind you again that unfilled board member slots continue to exist on the People TV Board of Directors and the city's executive branch have chosen to not fully nominate citizens to that board of directors. All of these vacancies need to be filled post-haste with community-conscious, grassroots-minded citizens who believe in the federally guarded peg concept, that public education and government television concept, and who can help ensure that notices of People TV board meetings get out to the public in accordance with the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Be reminded that when the time comes for those who might wish to take a hard stance against People TV, that refusal to fully populate the People TV board of directors may work against you in your attempts to destroy People TV. By your seeing to that these vacant spots are filled, People TV can once again help bring attention to the nefarious antics of the NPUR9 by revitalizing projects like APEB Rundown and like NPU on TV. The public needs to know how and why it is that 1% of the NPUR population of 20,000 is being allowed to represent all of the rest of 22,000 residents by the NPUR 9 Vice Chair Anthony Robinson, Colin Clutter, Ricardo Jacobs, Lynette L. Scott, Alvin Fight, Allison Hathaway, Sherry Williams, and the NPUR 9 cohort, enablers, and supporters.
And that concludes our public comment, Madam Chair.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Evans. We've been having some technical difficulties, and I don't know if we need to, okay, I understand it's clearer now, so are we getting better reception, or can the public hear us now? Do you know, Mr. Evans?
I have tuned in to Channel 26, and the sound is much clearer than it was at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, the concern that I had was the YouTube was not working well in Channel 26. So if we have 26, I think we just move forward. Thank you very much. So let's see. So the next item is the consent agenda. We do have a communication. Mr. X.
Item number 1, 21C0012, a communication from Danielle Hampton, Chair, Audit Committee, submitting the Performance Audit Report, Department of Watershed Management, Capital Projects, Contract Management.
Okay. Thank you very much. I understand we do have representatives from the Auditor's Office, Amanda Noble and Brandy Bell. This information is in our committee packet. I don't know who will be making the presentation from the Auditor's Office.
Good morning. This is Amanda Noble, City Auditor. And as you said, we are here to present our audit of the Department of Watershed Management's Capital Projects Contract Management. Brandy Bell, Senior Performance Auditor, will be walking through the presentation, and I'll be available to answer questions. So go ahead, Brandy. You ready?
Thank you, Amanda. Good morning. Is everyone able to hear me? Yes, please go ahead. Okay, great. Good morning. I am Brandy Bell, Senior Performance Auditor for the City Auditor's Office. I will be presenting work performed and the results of the Department of Watershed Management Capital Projects Contract Management Audit. The team for this audit included Matthew Irvin, Supervising Auditor, E.J. Jones, Performance Auditor, and myself. The Department of Watershed Management's Office of Engineering Services is responsible for managing the department's capital improvement program, including design and construction projects to comply with the city's consent decree. Pollution from stormwater and wastewater discharges led to 2 federal consent decrees in 1998 and 1999 that required the city to bring its CSOs, combined sewer overflows, and SSOs, sanitary sewer overflows, into compliance with the Clean Water Act and Georgia Water Quality Control Act. After the completion of the CSO consent decree and extension of the SSO consent decree to 2027, Watershed Management implemented a $1.27 billion capital improvement program to enhance water system efficiencies while ensuring the city maintains compliance with federal and state regulations. The Capital Project Management Division of the Office of Engineering Services is responsible for overall management of the capital improvement program. Next slide, please. On slide 2, here I will address our audit objectives, scope, and methodology. We undertook this audit to review controls over the management of capital projects in the Department of Watershed Management and to assess whether those controls were followed. This is the first in a series of capital project contract management audits in various city departments following the conclusion of our 8 audit series on the Renew Atlanta and TSPLOS programs. This audit addresses the following objectives. Is the design of the capital project system of internal control consistent with industry best practices? Do key internal controls exist and have those controls been placed into operation? And lastly, were those controls used appropriately on a separate project? For our scope, we reviewed Watershed Management's project delivery system. It may also be referred to as PDS within this presentation. For traditional design, bid, build, capital projects, as most of the projects fall under this category. In 2017, the Capital Project Management Division staff began using eBuilder to track project data and related activities which enable communication among the owner, engineer, and contractor and facilitates timely processing and approval of contract documentation in coordination with the overall project schedule. Due to the lapse in access to eBuilder experienced by the department, and we will cover this matter in later slides, we did not test any project data from 2020. Most of our testing covered data from the year 2019, though some tests covered older data. Our methods included reviewing various sources of industry best practices to build a comprehensive capital project best practice framework, reviewing the PDS used by the department against identified best practices, identifying key controls based on the review of the PDS and risk assessment techniques, and finally, testing the implementation of key controls and reviewing project documentation in eBuilder for 3 sample projects. We looked at an active project, a complete project, and a project with a detailed design phase. Next slide, please. Here on slide 3, this slide provides a high-level overview of our findings. Details of the findings are to follow. We found the Department of Watershed Management has developed a mature PDS to describe detailed policies and procedures that follow best practices for capital project management. This provides project teams with a framework for project management that addresses relevant risks. We also found that Watershed Management has established controls that address most capital project risks, but identify minor gaps in controls over areas such as cost, schedule, reporting, safety, and quality management. We also noted portions of the PDS that no longer reflect current practice that should be updated. While the PDS is a mature system of internal control, following most industry best practices, controls must actually be implemented in order to have the desired effect on risk. We tested the implementation of the controls detailed in the PDS and found that most key controls have been implemented in eBuilder or otherwise, but that inconsistencies and opportunities for improvement remain. Lastly, Watershed Management lost access to eBuilder in January 2020 during the transition from an agreement between the vendor, eBuilder Incorporated, and the former program management team to an agreement directly between the city and eBuilder Incorporated. The department did develop temporary backup controls to mitigate the effects of the lapse in access to eBuilder, though replacing automated with manual processes does introduce risk. The department also developed a detailed plan to migrate 2020 data into eBuilder after regaining access. Access to eBuilder was restored in August 2020, and we were able to confirm that staff had begun executing the plan to load 2020 project data into eBuilder. Next slide, please. On slide 4, here is an illustration of the Design Big Bill PDF. This is Exhibit 3 on page 5 of the report. The department implemented the cloud-based portal in 2016, which contains detailed procedures spanning the project lifecycle from project activation to closeout. The PDF includes 5 stage gates that require approval from an executive committee to proceed to the next phase of the project. Each phase of the project lifecycle is broken down into activities and sub-activities. Next slide, please. On slide 5, this slide shows Exhibit 4 on page 6 of the report. Each activity and sub-activity includes a description of what actions must be taken, any necessary input or output, and links to any associated templates from the template guide library, which is a central location for all templates and documents linked in the PDF. Each step also includes a RACI, R-A-C-I designation, which identifies who is responsible for an activity, who is accountable for an activity, and who to consult and inform for the activity. Next slide, please. On slide 6, this is Exhibit 5 on page 12 of the report, which is a capital project procedural framework developed by PricewaterhouseCoopers. We reviewed the PDF procedures in comparison to these best practices for capital project management throughout planning, design, execution, and testing, and turnover. We found that watershed management has established controls that address risks associated with each phase and element we reviewed, as color-coded green in the exhibit. We identified non-adaptive controls over cost, schedule, reporting, safety, and quality management, as mentioned before. The PDF addresses most best practices for these phases and elements, but due to these minor gaps, they are color-coded yellow in the exhibit. Gray elements were outside of our scope. For example, watershed management requires contractors to submit a site-specific safety plan for review and approval, and policies also speak to monitoring compliance with the safety plan. However, safety and security management is not explicitly included early in the planning phase of a project in the project management plan template. Similarly, the project manager uses project closeout checklists to ensure that all required project closeout steps have been taken. Although watershed management staff told us they evaluate design costs at the beginning of a project, they do not currently review the final costs in project closeout as part of the lessons learned step. Project closeout checklists also do not currently include a reminder to ensure all grant and bond required reporting is completed. These steps are relevant both to project closeout and to cost control during a project. We also noted portions of the PDF that no longer reflect current practice that should be updated. For example, best practice suggests that there should be specific cost and schedule variance thresholds that trigger reporting to bring any issues to attention of project management and executive leadership. The department has a standard operating procedure that addresses this best practice, but does not incorporate it by reference in the PDF. Similarly, the PDF lists several forms for monitoring safety compliance and quality control, but in practice, these forms have been replaced by processes in eBuilder. Next slide, please. Here on slide 7, we provided 5 recommendations to the PDF administrator and the Capital Projects Management Division to address the minor gaps we identified in these controls. Those include incorporating safety plan elements into the project management plan template, establishing project cost threshold over which a value engineering workshop is required, developing and documenting process to compare design costs to construction costs, adding an item to close our checklist to ensure reporting requirements for grantors and bond covenants are addressed. And lastly, developing formal warranty inspection and post-occupancy evaluation procedures. The Commissioner agreed with each recommendation. Next slide, please. On slide 8, we also provided 6 recommendations for the PDS administrator and the e-builder administrator within the Capital Projects Management Division to ensure the PDS reflects current practice. Those include regularly reviewing and updating the PDS, incorporating supplemental guides in the PDS, adding an activity to the PDS to process consulting invoices, ensure backup manual processes, document established workflows, updating inspection daily report process in eBuilder to include safety issues, and updating change document workflow in eBuilder to include routing steps for review consistent with the PDS guidance. And the Commissioner agreed with each of these recommendations as well. Next slide, please. On slide 9, we reviewed project documentation in eBuilder for 3 sample projects as mentioned before, an active and complete project, and a project with a detailed design phase. We found that most key project management controls identified in our review of the PDS were implemented, but there was some room for consolidation and improvement. The department has leveraged the eBuilder tools to implement key project management controls, but various daily responsibilities of field inspectors are not all represented in the eBuilder inspection daily report process. Approvals of safety submittals and other documents are not always recorded in the system, and document storage was not consistently applied across our sample projects. For example, while most design oversight controls were implemented on our sample project, some documentation was missing. We tested key design oversight controls for one project. We reviewed project documentation for the use of design services checklists, review comment logs, and evidence of internal technical review meetings. We found that some technical review meeting summaries were not included in the file. Similarly, the PDS addresses safety management for project sites. The contractor is required to submit a health and safety plan and other related documents in eBuilder for the construction manager to review and approve prior to the start of construction. In our testing, we determined that contractors submitted safety plans for review for both the active and complete sample projects, but we were unable to locate documented construction manager approval. We found the department uses eBuilder to review and approve payments to consultants and contractors. We sampled one consultant payment and one contractor payment from 2019 from the active project and one 2018 contractor payment from the complete project. We also sampled one 2019 consultant payment from the third sample project, which had a detailed design phase to test a traditional design invoice. We found that all 4 payments included supporting documentation and that the payments were appropriately routed through the invoice approval process in eBuilder. We also found that all 4 payments were made within 45 days and reflected in eBuilder. The department has checklists to aid in the review process, but we were unable to locate completed checklists for any of the payments we reviewed in eBuilder. Next slide, please. On slide 10, so in order to consistently apply project management tools according to the procedures prescribed in the PDS, we recommend that watershed management staff consistently follow procedures for developing and updating project management documents, create and maintain technical review meeting summaries in eBuilder, ensure all construction oversight documentation is maintained in eBuilder, ensure punch lists are generated according to PDS procedures, maintain review comments and approvals of safety plans and related submittals in eBuilder, and consistently use pay application checklists and maintain those within eBuilder. The Commissioner agreed with each recommendation and stated staff will develop an oversight process to monitor the extent that project management procedures are being followed, and that pay application checklists will be added to the invoice approval process. Next slide, please. On slide 11, as we mentioned before, Watershed lost access to eBuilder in January 2020 during the transition from an agreement between eBuilder Incorporated and the former program management team to an agreement directly between the city and eBuilder Incorporated. In 2015, the city issued a task order for the former PMT to implement a program management information system to electronically manage the capital improvement plan program. The PMT recommended and engaged eBuilder Incorporated to provide the system, including software, training, and technical support. Several risks arise when the city procures a system like eBuilder indirectly through a contractor, rather than contracting directly with the software vendor. Depending on the terms of a given agreement, the city may lose data stored in the system, may not own the data stored in the system, or as happened in January 2020, may experience an interruption in access to the system. The program management contract expired in 2017. Subsequently, the city needed to enter into a direct agreement with eBuilder Incorporated. In January 2020, Watershed Management and the Chief Procurement Officer recommended that the city enter into a sole source agreement with eBuilder Incorporated to continue to provide eBuilder software, training, and support. Due to a lack of current agreement and therefore inability to pay an outstanding invoice, the vendor terminated the department's access to eBuilder in January 2020. Although City Council and the Mayor approved the new agreement in January, access was not restored until August, when the contract was executed and the outstanding invoice paid. During this period, from January to August 2020, the department did not have access to automated workflows, dashboard generation, submittal processing, or other controls provided by the eBuilder software. So in order to avoid similar situations in the future, we recommend that the department procure any systems directly from vendors through the city's usual procurement process, rather than issuing a task order for a contractor to procure systems. The commissioner agreed with the recommendation. Next slide, please. On slide 12, the staff developed a plan for backup manual controls to work around the lack of access to eBuilder during the period from January to August 2020. Project documentation was to be stored in OneDrive, SharePoint, or by project managers. Most procedures that required input, review, or approval from various parties, such as for review of design submittals, were to be conducted by email correspondence. Procedures regarding updates and dissemination of information to committees and executive management were to be carried out through monthly status update meetings and bi-weekly progress meetings. Taken as a whole, these backup controls would not fully replace the automated controls in eBuilder, but they likely mitigated the effects of the lapse in access to the program management information system. The department also developed a plan to load project data from the lapse into eBuilder. The plan is a detailed guide that identifies the parties responsible for transferring and uploading various project documents, statuses, folders, and processes. It includes step-by-step instructions and screenshots of the eBuilder system to illustrate how each update should be accomplished. As of October 15, 2020, we saw clear evidence that staff had begun to execute the plan, including uploading invoices with backup documentation and design submittals from the period when they did not have access to eBuilder. So we recommend that staff continue to upload all remaining project data into eBuilder. The commissioner agreed with the recommendation and stated it's an ongoing effort that was expected to continue through December 2020. Next slide, please. And this concludes our presentation. We appreciate the courtesy and cooperation of city staff throughout the audit. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Let me see. Please indicate on your speakers button if you have any questions. All right, I don't see any speakers indicated. I appreciate this report. I didn't know if the commissioner's on the line, if she wanted to add anything to this. It looked as if the department agreed with all of the recommendations and seems that the department is on track to be very accountable and responsible for making those changes. Commissioner? Mr. Evans, is the commissioner on the line?
I'm not sure if the commissioner herself is on the line. I believe we have Christy Bickham and Mohammed Bala.
Okay. Well, who? Okay.
We'll unmute watershed management people. One moment.
All right, thanks.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Yes,
this is Mohammed Bala with the Department of Watershed Management. And it is my understanding that we are in agreement with the path forward from the audit findings. Our team has worked extremely hard over the last few years to make sure that our project management oversight is up to standard. We've leveraged the e-builder tool to greatly enhance our capabilities. We always look to improve. We appreciate the efforts of the audit team taking a deep dive into this and giving us their recommendations, and we look forward to addressing any gaps and resolving any issues.
Hey, this is Nikita. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, thank you, DC Bala, and thanks, Chairwoman Archibald. I'm sorry, I had to get off mute. To add to DC Bala, we found the audit productive and informative, and DWM saw this as an opportunity to identify strengths and weaknesses with regard to our project management systems and processes. As the audit team indicated, we agreed with their recommendations, and we will be incorporating them accordingly. We're going to continue to improve upon our management of all capital projects. We're going to, as noted, we're going to ensure that we have separate procurements going forward to ensure continuity of operations and access for all of our information technology systems. And so we're glad to have a new agreement in place, and we're going to ensure the proper maintenance of that system going forward.
Hey, well, thank you. That's all good stuff. And we are appreciative of that feedback and look forward to having, if this is audited again, having confirmation that all these have been put in place. So thank you so much. And Deputy Commissioner Bala. And we did not have any questions from our colleagues, so we will now move to ordinances for reading, Section I.
Madam Chair, the committee should make a motion to accept and file this.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're correct. We need a motion to accept and to file. Thank you, Mr. Shook. I'll second it. There's no discussion. Please open that vote.
The vote is open.
Winslow votes in favor.
Thank you, and good morning, Ms. Winslow.
Good morning.
All right, all votes look like they've been cast.
It's 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you very much. That has been, the motion to file and accept has been approved. Next, ordinances for second reading. Mr. Evans.
Item number 2, 21-00025, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2021 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in the amount of $6,800,000.00 to transfer funds from the Watershed Reserve for appropriations and add funds to the listed capital maintenance projects and for other purposes.
All right. Quentin Fletcher, are you available?
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair. Quentin Fletcher, the Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this legislation is to fund the capital maintenance project. The Department of Watershed Management has identified, in connection with the capital improvement plan, the need to fund certain costs from the watershed reserve. The plant capital maintenance project will address critical maintenance needs at the water and wastewater facilities. We have identified a comprehensive list of critical needs at each facility. We will utilize existing and new service contracts to make repairs to key mechanical, electrical, and silver assets. Making these critical repairs aids the department in meeting our strategic priorities of infrastructure reliability, operational efficiency, and compliance.
All right, thank you, sir. Let me get back to my screen. All right, colleagues, you heard from Ms. West. Are there any? Oh, we do have someone ready to speak. I can't see who it is. Mr. Evans.
Councilmember Hillis would like to speak.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hillis, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl Armstrong. Thank you for that. DC Fletcher, is there a list of these important capital maintenance projects that can be shared with us?
Yes, we can share the comprehensive list with you.
Okay, that would be appreciated. With that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Shook and Mr. Hillis. Mr. Fletcher, as you prepare that report that Mr. Hillis has asked for, can it be by district?
Yes, Madam Chair, we can do that.
Okay, great. And when will you have that by?
I definitely work best off deadline. Do you have one in mind?
Well, obviously before we vote on it at the next full council meeting.
We will have it prepared for the next full council meeting.
Okay. All right. Ms. Hillis, I don't know if you wanted to make that a condition, or are we going to just trust and believe, or how did you want to approach that?
I'll trust DC Fletcher, and hopefully we can get it by the end of the week.
I like that. All right. Moved and seconded that we approve this item. If there's no unreadiness, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote? In favor. Thank you.
The vote is closed, and it is 7 yeas and 0 nays.
All right, that's unanimously approved. Next item, please.
Item number 3, 21-00026. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the 2018B Water and Wastewater Commercial Paper Fund FY 2021 budget in the amount of $2,042,000.00 to transfer funds from the 2018B Water and Wastewater Commercial Paper Reserve for appropriations and add funds to the small water meter installation project and for other purposes.
All right, colleagues, we have had a request from the department to hold this legislation to wait for companion legislation to be introduced, so I have to make that motion. All right, thank you, Mr. Shook. If there's no unreadiness, let's open that, please.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote? In favor. Thank you.
The vote is closed at 7 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you. That item will be held. Next item, please.
Item number 4, 21-00027. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to, in accordance with Section 2-1163C, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, to retroactively substitute Pure Technologies U.S. Inc., Engineering Design Technologies Inc., JV, as a party to FC 8806, Large Diameter Water Line Condition Assessment from July 31st, 2018, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to exercise renewal number 2 for FC 8806 for time only, with a retroactive effective date of March 16th, 2020 through March 15, 2021, to ratify the services rendered and authorize the payment of invoices from Technology US Inc., Engineering Design Technologies Inc., JV, from July 31st, 2018, and for other purposes.
All right. Darren Boyson, are you on the...
I am here. Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning. This legislation is for the really to clean up this particular agreement. We had a joint venture partner in this agreement essentially sell their business, and we work with procurement and the other supported agencies to actually have that joint venture partner replaced. And again, we want to ratify this agreement so that everything is very clear as far as who are the members of the joint venture, and close out our final task order for this particular pipeline condition assessment project.
All right, Mr. Boykin. So as it relates to the joint venture, all of the participants in terms of minority participants are still in place in terms of the percentages and those considerations?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Very good to hear. Don't see any speakers in the queue, but I will accept a motion on this paper.
Yeah, moves approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hillis. It's been properly seconded. Are there any questions or any unreadiness? All right. Mr. Evans, please open that vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote? In favor. Thank you.
The vote is closed at 7 yeas and 0 nays.
That stands approved. Mr. Evans, are any papers coming off held today?
No, Madam Chair. That concludes the legislative agenda.
All right. Colleagues, are any comments or questions? If not, I'll answer to it. All right. I'll make that motion to adjourn. Thank you very much, colleagues, for a very good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.